Bird versus Magic, the greatest rivalry in NBA history. Now, look, man, I ain't gonna lie. Y'all already know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe. But, hey, we've been going down a Larry Bird rabbit hole for like a couple weeks now. And look, I want to figure out who was better in this rivalry. Who won the rivalry? Because it was one of the greatest rivalry ever. But, hey, who won the rivalry? Bird or Magic? Right now, before we watch the video, I think I'm giving it to Bird. But, look, man, let's go ahead and see what's going on.
You can't talk about Magic Johnson's career without mentioning Larry Bird, and vice versa. They were two of the best and most successful players in the 80s. And their rivalry saved the NBA from going bankrupt and shutting down. We'll talk about how their relationship started, how they drove each other crazy, and how they formed the most iconic rivalry in sports history. Growing up, Larry Bird was born in 1956 in French Lick, Indiana, 2.5 years and 357 miles up north. Irvin Johnson said hello to the world from Lansing, Michigan. There were a lot of differences between the two, but there were also many similarities. Both hailed from big, working-class families and knew the values of hard work and sacrifice early on. Irvin was a flamboyant kid who wanted to get as much attention as possible. He was the most popular kid in high school and a prom king, while Larry mainly wanted to be left the hell alone. When he had to get up and speak before the class, Bird wouldn't do it and would rather get an F than draw any attention to himself. However, these two polar opposites outside of basketball were the mirror images of each other once they had the ball in their hands. Both 6'9", not overly athletic, but extremely smart and super confident. They both saw the game 2 or 3 moves in advance. Both were team-oriented, and they had an equal desire when they played to win above all else. Magic won the state championship as a senior in high school, averaging 29 points and 17 rebounds, after which he decided to attend Michigan State. Bird averaged 31 points and 21 rebounds as a senior, and he got the scholarship from the Indiana Hoosiers. Coached by Bobby Knight, the Hoosiers were one of the country's most successful and famous collegiate.
Well, he averaged 31.21 rebounds. He might have got Magic in high school. He was better than Magic in high school when he was 100. What?
Basketball programs. However, Bird lasted only 24 days at Indiana University. More than 30,000 people at campus and less than $100 in his pockets were too overwhelming for a hick from French Lick. So Larry returned home to a town of 2,000 inhabitants and became a garbage man. He drove the garbage truck, painted park benches, cut grass, fixed what needed to be fixed. His mom didn't speak to him for months because he ran away from a college scholarship. And after a year of picking up garbage, Larry decided to return to the university. However, he opted to go to a much smaller Indiana State, which was much more suited for his social skills at the time. While the Hoosiers won their 3rd NCAA title in 1976, Indiana State had never even reached the NCAA tournament. However, that would soon change with Larry Bird on the team. Bird averaged 30 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 assists per game with the Sycamores, and led them to an 81-13 record during his tenure. In his senior year, Indiana State reached the NCAA tournament for the first time, and did so in a spectacular fashion. With Bird dominating the college ranks, Indiana State got off to a 33-0 record, and reached the NCAA Finals against Michigan State and their sophomore point guard, Magic Johnson. First meeting, 1979 championship game, and the NBA draft. The first time Magic found out about Larry was from Sports Illustrated, which had a story about the best college player in the country. But he soon got to see for himself if that was true, because both Magic and Larry were selected to represent Team USA in the 1978 World Invitational Tournament. Larry and Magic were the best players on the court, trading behind-the-back passes and treating each other with no-look assists. They had instant chemistry on the court, but off it, not so much, as Larry wasn't the most talkative person on the planet, as you can probably imagine. However, before the NCAA Finals in 1979, Magic still wanted to greet Larry and shake his hand before the game, because after all, they were teammates on the USA team less than a year ago. But Larry wasn't interested. He shunned Magic, and their rivalry officially began. The 1979 NCAA Finals was the most-watched NCAA Finals in history at the time, and it's still the most-watched NCAA game ever to this day. A small school that had never reached the tournament was undefeated throughout the season, and an unathletic blonde guy made them the most talked-about team in the country. The other school was led by a 6'9" point guard, which was never seen before. One was black, one white. One was outgoing and smiled for the reporters. One was shy and gave short one-sentence answers. They were the polar opposites from the outside, but their games were so similar, and that's what wrote the narrative and brought national attention. When the actual game started, 2 guys guarded Bird the entire game, and he struggled to get an inch of free space. Larry knew he had to score 40 for his team to beat the favorite Michigan State. However, Bird had a bad shooting night. He missed 14 of his 21 shots shots, and Michigan State won by 11. Bird always says that it's the toughest loss of his career. After the NCAA Finals, both Magic and Bird turned pro. The Lakers selected Magic with the first overall pick in the 1979 draft. Bird was picked 6th by the Celtics in 1978, and that was the last year.
Oh, bro, who was the 4 players picked other than Magic Johnson ahead of Larry Bird? I know them people is sick. Bro, what the
A player could still stay in college after getting drafted. NBA saviors. By the end of the 70s, the NBA was in big trouble. TV ratings were down, attendance was low, and there was very little buzz around the league and its players. Out of the top 10 most watched basketball games in the 70s, 9 were college games. And tape delays were the norm for the NBA. Drugs were a big issue. The level of basketball wasn't that great, and fights between players happened on the regular. The overall image of the league was terrible. Sponsorships were hard to come by, and the league nearly collapsed by the end of the 70s. However, when Bird and Magic came to the NBA in 1979, they brought the hype that surrounded them in college. They both made the All-Star team as rookies and transformed their teams into title contenders. The Celtics improved their win total by 32 games from the year before Bird and finished first in the Eastern Conference. Magic's Lakers were first in the West, and the teams were destined to clash in the finals. But the Sixers spoiled another Bird and Magic duel. On the morning of the deciding Game 6 of the finals, the news came that Larry Bird won Rookie of the Year with 63 votes compared to just 3 votes for the second-place Johnson. Magic was pissed, and he'd go on to pour 42 points and 15 rebounds in the deciding Game 6, bringing Los Angeles their first title after 8 years and securing the Finals MVP trophy. When he saw that Magic won another title, Bird was furious. And that's just who these guys were and how they behaved, envious of each other's accomplishments and maniacally driven to elevate their play. Whenever the season schedule came out, I would circle the 2 games with Boston. Those were the 2 games more important than the other 80, Magic Johnson said. I read the newspaper every day during the season. I was only interested in one thing. What numbers did Magic Johnson have last night? Said Larry Bird. In 1981, Bird won his maiden title with the Celtics, and in 1982, Magic won another one with the Lakers. After that, the league was essentially Bird and Magic, and then everybody else. TV doubleheaders always featured the Lakers and the Celtics against whomever they happened to be playing. From 79 to 84, the NBA's TV ratings rose significantly. Attendance jumped 42% from 1979 to 89, easily the biggest gain among the 4 major American sports. While some credit has to go to David Stern and some to Michael Jordan, the main reason for the NBA's rise has to do with Bird and Magic. They were 2 phenomenal players who got drafted to the most iconic franchises and embodied the drama of American race relations, but did nothing to stir up the hatred themselves. Finals clashes. After the Sixers defeated the Celtics and the Lakers to win the title in 1983, Bird and Magic finally both advanced to the greatest NBA stage in 1984. The final series was tough and tightly contested, with the winner decided in Game 7. The Celtics played at home, and Bird was never more determined to win. Magic played badly down the stretch, and Larry finally got his revenge for the NCAA title loss in 1979. Averaging 27 points and 14 rebounds, he was named the Finals MVP, while the media butchered Johnson for his mistakes in the deciding moment.
Tragic Johnson, I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, I remember them. Yeah.
As a result, Magic was on a mission for the 1985 season and played the basketball of his life. The Celtics and the Lakers met in the finals again, and after a first game that finished 148 to 114 for Boston, it seemed like the Lakers didn't have it in them. However, after a big bounce back from Kareem, Magic steered LA to victory in 6 games and their first title in 9 NBA Finals against the Celtics. In the summer of '85, after that final series, a monumental shift happened in Bird and Magic's relationship. They starred in a Converse commercial together, with Magic visiting French Lick and spending time in Larry's home with the entire Bird family. For the first time ever, they talked and exchanged more than 2 sentences. After that, they struck a friendship, but their rivalry was as bitter as ever. The Celtics won the title in 1986 against the Rockets, and Bird won his 3rd consecutive MVP award. In 1987, the Lakers returned to the finals, again against Bird and the Celtics. In Game 4, Larry seemed to have scored a game winner, but Magic erased it with a spectacular hook shot with 2 seconds remaining. A redemption for the clutch misses in 1984. A good look for the win, but he missed a jump shot at the buzzer, and the Lakers took a 3-1 series lead and eventually won the series in 6. After the finals, Bird called Magic the best player he'd ever seen. Later years. Magic soared and won another title in 1988. Bird was breaking down. He injured his back while chopping wood in French Lick in 1985, and the injury worsened every season. He missed almost the entire 1989 season with a torn Achilles, and when he came back, he needed nearly 3 hours of preparation and spinal adjustments to play basketball. He was under enormous pain, and it was hard for him to walk, let alone play. But being a tough SOB that he was, he stuck around until 1992, even though he should have probably retired in 1988. Magic kept winning MVPs by the turn of the decade, and the Lakers kept making the NBA Finals. However, they couldn't defeat the Pistons in 1989 and the Bulls in 1991 to claim the title. Before the 1992 season had started, Magic received terrible news. He contracted HIV and subsequently retired from the NBA. Bird was in shock, and he immediately called Magic. Johnson confirmed that the news was true, and he later said that the call from Bird meant the world for him because he realized how much affection Larry really had for him, despite their rivalry. Larry said that he felt the same that day as on the day that his father passed away. And for the first time in his career, he didn't enjoy playing as much, with Magic not playing. But that wasn't the end, and Larry and Magic had their last hurrah. First, they played as opponents after Magic got an invite to play in the 1992 All-Star Game, which he dominated and won the MVP. And then later that year, they rode off into the sunset as teammates at the Barcelona Olympics. Because their NBA careers were over, their masks fell completely off. Bird and Magic became really good pals during their time with the Dream Team. Legacy. Magic and Bird played against each other 37 times in their NBA careers. And Johnson won 22 of those games, compared to Bird's 15. When it comes to trophies, it was 8 finals, 5 titles, and 3 MVPs for Magic, and 5 finals, 3 titles, and 3 MVPs for Bird. In the end, Magic won more hardware, but Bird was likely a more complete player because he was a better shooter, especially early on. Both players worked extremely hard to outplay the other and were each other's biggest motivation. Their rivalry was the biggest storyline in the 80s, and it saved the NBA, and they desperately needed saviors. In 2010, Larry and Magic wrote a book together, and in 2019, they got the NBA Lifetime Achievement Award together. Even though they are still polar opposites, Larry and Magic always seem to be intertwined and go together like peanut butter and jelly.
That's hard. I'm keeping it 100, bro. I think it's almost the same. Because Magic won more titles and rings, but Larry was a better player. He averaged more points, more rebounds probably. It's like, who y'all got, bro? I know a lot of y'all probably gonna say Larry. Y'all love Larry. I'm probably gonna go Larry too. Because it's like, the rings and stuff is cool, but rings too, and MVPs. Like, so, hey, tough decision. Let me know in the comments who y'all got, man. Like, comment, subscribe. But I'm gonna see y'all next video. I already know what's going on. No, guys.